Let us not dawdle, for there are grudges to settle, and new entries in the Dammer's Cron to right!
Howdy, howdy, Sudevil here, and welcome to another Dwarf multiplayer battle featuring the Dwarfs versus the Beastmen, commanded by the mighty zachbsain. In this matchup, this is a interesting matchup, and I don't want to spoil it, but we'll go over the battles. We have some vanguarded Centaurs with great weapons. These are not the throwing axe variant. Hidden behind the Dowie. For Zach's army, he has one Longbeard, one Dwarf Warrior, the Warrior of Dragonfire Pass, two Dwarf Warriors for the edges, and centering this lineup is the Norgelming's Ironbreakers. Now, Norgelming's Ironbreakers are awesome because they have 90 instead of 75 models, so they have a lot of health, and they're very, very robust. And he has one unit of miners with blasting charges, sort of for an asymmetrical formation. For the backline missile pressure, he has two Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes. These guys are fantastic, very, very strong if they're allowed to fire. And he has two Bugman's Rangers, who are also very, very strong if... they're good. They have charge defense against large. They have regeneration. They're very, very good. And in the backline, of course, the Dragonback Slayers, who have the slow and they make things weak to fire. So they can actually synergize the Warrior's Dragonfire Pass from time to time. And he has a single gyrocopter. So actually, we're going to start playing this because this battle takes quite a while. For the Beastmen army, obviously those two Centaurs. And he has his army split up into two pieces over here. This side, he has a Bray Shaman of the Wild. And that Bray Shaman is on a chariot and just has the Jagged Dagger for the increased magic. And just the Bray Scream. 5 wins of magic. And we're going to watch this thing go to town. And he has Bestial Surge, so every time he casts a spell, it's plus 9 Vigor, plus 18% charge bonus map-wide, which is absolutely amazing, especially when you compare that to like the Grumbling Guard or something like that. We are going to see this gyrocopter sort of try and get some shots in on this Bray Shaman. Basic gyrocopters almost do nothing to an armored unit, and it's hard to hit him in the trees, and he literally has done nothing except cause a little bit of leadership damage. Back here, he has 3 Razor Gore Herds, and they have armor piercing, and they have very low leadership, so they can be a real problem. He does have the Butchers of Kalkengard, which are Minotaurs with silver shields, great armor piercing. They cause fear and terror and have regeneration and have this ability, the Blood Greed, so when they're in range, they have plus 12 leadership, plus 12% speed, and they're immune to psychology. So, and he has a Gorbel. And this Gorbel has a lot of abilities, which is interesting to see because he is an anti-large, so he'll actually be really good against Thorgrim. Did I go over the leadership? I didn't. So he has Thorgrim. He actually has Thorgrim with all of his abilities. Stand Your Ground, Oath of Vengeance for the -27 melee attack, Foe Seeker, Great Book of Grudges for plus 9 melee attack in a 55-meter range, and the High King in case he gets beat down. And he does have a Runesmith with a Hammer of Carrick Draws, which I mean, if you watch the channel, you know I really love that hammer because it brings something out of play for 1 full minute. And he has the Rune of Wrath and Rune, obviously to slow things down, do damage. Now the bulk of the infantry is way over here, so he has 5 Gore Herds. Now these Gore Herds are like 600 gold. They're pretty decent, but not great against Dowie. And he does have Morgar the Shadowgave. Morgar the Shadowgave he's really, really good because he has regeneration. He does have 2 Chaos Spawn summons. He has Call of Violence as an ability that is brought, and he's obviously getting that Bestial Surge. Okay. I missed it. The first Bray Scream went off. So this game's going to take a while, actually. So he's done one Bray Scream, and it's actually pulled about 1,100 health off these Norgelming's Ironbreakers. And so you can see right now what zachbsain is doing is he's just sort of driving around. And this is one of the beauties of a gyrocopter for the Dowie. He's just looking for hidden units. He's like, well, nothing up here. He knows there's more stuff, that's not just yet. So he's trying to find some hidden units. And this is a really nice use. It's just that one gyrocopter, but he's just trying to go all around the map and find hidden units. So here we're going to watch this Bray Scream. We missed it again. Now down to 6,300 health. Another 1,100 health. I'll want to show that. But I also wanted to show this finding these Centaurs. So zachbsain is going to find these guys, and now he can start with his gyrocopter shooting into them. And they only have 35 armor. So they're going to take a lot of damage from this gyrocopter, which is fantastic. So he's just going to sort of let that happen. This main army, no rush. They're going to try and come and set up. And zachbsain is going to set up. No rush, because what he wants to do is actually get off all his Bray Screams. Now, I don't know if he should have if this is the right way to do it or not, but you're going to watch. So he's at 6,300 health, and he can't dodge this. How do you dodge this? He's going to try and dodge it. Boom. Gets him again. Now down to 5,300 health, 1,000 health. He's going to take some shots at that Bray Shaman, and he's got his gyrocopter here shooting against the Senegors, and he's going to get some damage in. And this is gyrocopters. I talk about this. They just force people to make mistakes. People are used when they're going to play the Dwarfs. They expect artillery. They know how to deal with it. And you can see this guy. He thought he'd see artillery, so he hid in the woods, and he was over the trees, and he was all hidden. Very protected from Dowie artillery. You can see zachbsain is just resetting his troops here and here. He's actually trying to bring his Norgleman's Ironbreaker sort of back from the front to get out of range from this Bray Shaman. But he's going to come in. He's just going to keep coming in, trying to get off this. And you can see now he's going to get a 2-for-1. That Bray Scream is actually not a bad little spell. It's doing really good damage to these Norgleman's Ironbreakers. And for this Bray Shaman, these Norgleman's Ironbreakers are 1,500, I think. The Bray Shaman on that chariot wouldn't be 1,500. Maybe he's 1,500. But now you can see he's getting shot up by these gyrocopters, so he's sort of getting desperate. So he figures maybe I'll just do a quick charge. So he takes a Rune-Wrath and Rune, and now he's going to take fire from the Bugman's Rangers. He's bringing in the Warriors of Dragonfire past Thorgrim Grudgebearer for the buffs, and he's going to cast. Is he going to cast anything on this? Nope. He's got the Iron Drakes, Troll Armor Torpedoes come out, instantly routes the one Senegor. Going to get the other one right away, get it routing. Got another Bray Scream coming in from this Bray Shaman, but got the shots going in here. Actually shatters one unit and routes the other. So, this is all from these gyrocopter pressure. That's a mistake. Obviously, he shouldn't have done that. Should have just waited, been patient, brought his Senegors sort of into the woods, and just kept using his Bray Screams. The Beastman player has a good plan with his army, and but he's just taking damage from that gyrocopter, and you get antsy. So because his plan was to use all his Bray Screams and Winds of Magic, because why not? And he's doing good. He's brought this Norgleman's Ironbreakers down. You can see here he comes again. Boom. Now down to 3,600 health. He's taking a little bit of shots in return, not much. This gyrocopter is now going to go over and shoot some of the Gore Herds because it can. These Senegors have rallied, but really he's got 14 out of 45 Senegors left, and he lost one full unit of Senegors. I think those guys are worth if I'm not mistaken, 700-ish, maybe 800, the Great Weapon variant. I think 700 for the non-Great Weapon and 800 for the Great Weapon, something like that. But basically, he lost 1,800 gold. Bringing them in too early from a 700 gold gyrocopter, just giving him chip damage. Because, he can take all this damage from the gyrocopter for the Gore Herds. He might as well at this point, right? But nope, he's starting to get shot, so that's just pulling him forward. The Beastman player is actually in no rush. I think to come in, because that's a really good strategy, just to keep using these Bray Screams, because he's going to come in here again. Maybe he's running out of magic, I don't know, because he's going to actually come in and try and get this off again. Here we go. Yep, brings these guys down to 2,600 health. Now these Norgleman's Ironbreakers, a 1,500 gold unit, are brought down to almost nothing, brought down to a quarter, 25% of their health, and he still has a Bray Shaman who can go through things with his chariot. So he brought the Bray Shaman back, and now he's starting to bring things in. Maybe he could have waited. There's no rush, but now he's going to start coming in on zachbsain here. So Zach is starting to say, okay, where do I want my units? I want my Norgleman's Ironbreakers on this side. Definitely want my Dragonback Slayers sort of on this side. Want my other troops on this side, and I want to engage Morgar the Shadowgave. He wants to get shots on him right away. So he wants to get in there with Thorgrim, and in come the Senegors with Great Weapons. Norgleman's Ironbreaker, he's just going to send them out because he can. And now he's going to engage with the Gore Herds. The Gore Herds are going to try and get in. They're going to take the blasting charges right in the face, and they're going to be shot in the back with the gyrocopter. In come the Senegors, and these Razor Gore Herds are going to start coming in. The Butchers of Kalkengard, I think, are back here with the with the whatchamacallit, Gorbel, and now they're going to sort of come in, and maybe he wanted to hold them back for a reason, to make sure that all the other Dowie troops were engaged. We can see he's got Oath of Vengeance. Morgar the Shadowgrave only has 18 melee defense. He's getting the tar kicked out of him by Thorgrim, and he's going to try and come in and get him routing. He is going to get this Chaos Spawn going after the Iron Drake, so this Beastman player is definitely trying to get after these Iron Drakes because he knows how good they are. So zachbsain puts a Hammer Carrick draws right on the Butchers of Kalkengard here, and they're going to come through. I mean, you can see, like, God, they're pretty big. Well, I guess they are Minotaurs, and they're going to come in. They're just going to bowl over everything on this side. But he is clearly coming after these Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes, and he's coming after these Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes with the Chaos Spawn and the Gore Herd, and that's the sort of his focus. The Gyrocopter is going to come down, try and get this Bray Shaman. Unfortunately, Morgar got away from Thorgrim because he's always going to be able to run away from a dwarf, but the Beastman player has been able to get in here and get on the two key units, which are the two Trollhammer torpedoes. So this Trollhammer torpedo is getting beat down. That's where he's focused, and he's already managed to actually obliterate this Trollhammer torpedo completely over here. But the Gore Herd, because they can't really hold up to Dowie infantry, of mostly, you can see here they've gone, here they've gone, here they've gone. Now they're coming back. These guys are wavering, and there's one more unit that's going to go out here right away. They just don't have the staying power to stay with Dowie infantry. But the big guys here, the Chaos Spawn is in here now, the Gore Herd, Morgar the Shadowgrave, we've got the Bray Shaman of the Wild still going after these Iron Drakes. They are terrified. And these Gorbels in here with the Butchers of Kalkengard. Now, he has put the minus 27 melee defense on the Butchers of Kalkengard, and he's got the Dragonback Slayers here. And the Dragonback Slayers are going to do a good job. Like you can see in here, we got the Slayers, Dragonback Slayers up against those Butchers of Kalkengard, and they're going hard. Oh no, we just got both an arm and a head. That was one mean swipe by that Butcher there. But you know, this is the exact fight you want. You want the Dragonback Slayers on here, the Butchers of Kalkengard. And that's where they are, and you can see they've got the Oath of Vengeance. They've got very little melee defense, and the Dragonback Slayers have kicked the tar out of them. So now they are going to rout in this big mess. We've got Thorgrim Grudgebearer with Longbeards, and he's just going to be able to tank this all day. Gore Herd can do literally nothing to him, and Morgar the Shadowgrave doesn't have armor piercing, so he can't do much to Thorgrim either. So Thorgrim's just going to be able to tank this all day. But in come the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass to kind of help that out. Another Bray Scream. And on this side, it's all about these Dragonback Slayers against the Gorbel, the Bray Shaman, and these Norgorblings Ironbreakers coming back, and the Gyrocopters. So these guys have rallied over here, the Butchers of Kalkengard, and zachbsain is going to try and send them off with the Gyrocopter. He does have these rallied Bugman's Rangers and rallied Iron Drake with Trollhammer Torpedoes. He's just trying and get some shots into this Gorbel right here. And you can see even 9 of these guys do a ton of damage. He's got Deadly Onslaught, but they're going to keep shooting into this Gorbel right here. And you can see they do a good amount of damage. These Dragonback Slayers are doing awesome. Over here, Thorgrim is happily just beating the crap out of all of these guys. I mean, this is exactly what you want Thorgrim to do. He's still got 4,700 health. He's got everyone here attacking. They're doing nothing. Unfortunately, the Gyrocopter is having a real hard time with the Butchers of Kalkengard. Lost one Gyrocopter, but they have stopped them. And these Bugman's Rangers continue to fire. They're firing into this Bray Shaman of the Wild, and they have shattered the Gorbel. Like, this is exactly what you want there. And now the Dragonback Slayers are after the Bray Shaman of the Wild. And over here, the Norgorblings Ironbreakers, they're down to 29 models, but they're down to 800 health, and they're still fighting. Morgar the Shadowgrave now has minus 27 melee defense on him again, and Thorgrim is just going to come in and kick the snot out of him. He only has 15 armor, so Thorgrim will kick the crap out of him, and you can see he's doing exactly that. And over here, Dowie leadership is holding up. Everything's really, really low, but they're still fighting. Morgar the Shadowgrave is now shattered. We have these Warriors of Dragonfire Pass coming back, and that is the end of the battle. So a really interesting way to fight for the Beastmen. And very, very patient play by zachbsain. Very patient play. And it's a difference in patience. And this game, I think, shows the difference in patient play, because I think Like, zachbsain was getting the crap kicked out of him by those Bray Screams with the Norgleman's Ironbreakers. I mean, that's a 1,500 gold unit that was getting free, essentially free shots. And Zach said, well, I'm not going to chase because I know what's back there that's in the woods. There's not going to be anything good for me in there. And I'm just going to be patient, and I'm going to take it. He tried to get him back, but, essentially he just took it. And the Beastmen player, on the other hand, did get a little bit out of sorts from this gyrocopter and attacked early with the Centaurs, and the Centaurs were great weapons. And then I think probably attacked early with his Gore Herds and didn't attack all at once. I think that's... I've talked about this before with that, having one gyrocopter is probably a good bet in most builds. Now, I fear bringing gyrocopters against Beastmen because of Harpies. I think really the scariest Beastman build for me is like double Cygor and 2 Harpies or 3 Harpies, and then just a Beast Lord on a chariot and a sort of a shaman on a chariot and some chaff to slow things down. Like, that's, to me, that's really the scariest thing to go up against as the Daoi, because it's so difficult to deal with. But I could see what the Beastman player here was trying to do, which was actually interesting. He was trying to focus on the best units. Now, if he'd held back his Centaurs and just took the shots with the the gyrocopter, just planted himself in those trees and just took the shots as they were going to come, and then attacked all at once, would have been a lot harder. Admittedly, he didn't attack Thorgrim with anything, and Thorgrim is an absolute beast. Has great melee defense, and he is large, so if you have anti-infantry stuff, they don't do good against him. And really, he has great splash attacks, because he hits 8 units and does all kinds of good stuff. Anyways, look at the final numbers. Thorgrim, ton of health left, 45 kills. The Runesmith, 15 kills and was beat down. These Norgleman's Ironbreakers, despite being absolutely focused, still got 41 kills and were still alive at the end of the game. I mean, that says a lot about how good the Norgleman Ironbreakers really are, doesn't it? 52 for the Dwarf Warriors, 36 for the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, 36 for the other Dwarf Warriors, 19 and 35 for the Bugman Rangers. They were focused down. 20 and 11 for the Iron Drakes Trollhammer Torpedoes. They were also focused down. 31 for that Gyrocopter, 29 for the Dragonback Slayers, and they still had lots of health left. And 94 for these Longbeards, did fantastic. 13 for the Miners with Blasting Charges for the Beastmen. 27 of Morgar the Shadowgave. Maybe it could be that he's never fought Thorgrim before. Doesn't realize that Thorgrim's a real beast if he can fight something with low armor, which Morgar the Shadowgave has. And you can see lots of fights. Morgar the Shadowgave just tanks a lot of stuff, but not against Thorgrim. The Bray Shaman, awesome. 107 kills. And, I mean, that Bray Shaman, the way that was set up, with the Bray Scream and just the one spell, real cheap on that chariot, I think it was a really interesting build, and obviously quite good. Gorbil, 24. The Goreherd, 110, 28, 41, 27, 15. That 110 would have been against the Miners, obviously. 2 and 3 for the Senegors, 8, 12, and 7 for the Razor Herds. I don't think Razor Gores are ever a good choice against the Daoi, but, I mean, people bring them. The problem is, I think the problem is they look real good because they got armor piercing and great charge bonus, but the problem is they rampage, and I mean it's not hard to make them rampage, and then you just kill them for free. And then the Butchers of Kalkengard, which obviously are an interesting unit to bring. Probably they're a good unit to bring against the Daoi because they have them silver shields and regeneration, fear, and terror. So really interesting fight, and really a battle of patience. There's not much more to say. I mean, my coach or work boss, from time to time, he talks about Daoi patience. Yume's, if you ever read Yume's amazing dwarf multiplayer guide, he talks about patience with the Daoi. I mean, that is one of the advantage of playing the dwarfs. You can be patient. You can take a beating, and he did. zachbsain demonstrated that. You can take an absolute pummeling with the Daoi, and your troops will still fight. These Northern Ironbreakers were still fighting at the very end of the game, even though they essentially consumed almost all of the magic of the Beastmen. So, interesting fight. I know this is generally it is a hard matchup, I think, but the Beastmen have to bring very specific builds. Like I think the builds that are hard to face. This is my thoughts. These are the builds that I struggle against. Maybe there's better builds out there for the Beastmen. I think the hard Beastmen builds to deal with are the Cygor builds, like double Cygor. Because even if you bring cannons, those Cygors, they're fast, so they can just get out of the range of your cannons and shoot your infantry, and your cannons pull forward. They can get out of the range and shoot your infantry, and all they need to have is 2 harpies, but they can bring 4 if they want. Bring them up in the air, and that shuts down any gyrocopter play. And when it's time to go in and fight, they can land on Iron Drakes and Bugman's Rangers and do perfectly for like that. And then you just have the 2 chariots and some other units. You might want Senegors with throwing axes for gyrocopters, but I think harpies are a little bit better. But I don't know. I mean, I'll ask you guys if there's any Beastmen mains that watch this channel. What are sort of some of the better anti-Dowie builds? Is it Cygor builds? Is it harpies, or is it something else? Is it really heavy Bestigor builds? Like Bestigors are real good. And is it a heavy Bestigor build and sort of punching through that front line? We saw a great game with the Wizard Lizard against the Beastmen, I think about a month ago, where he played a heavier Bestigor build, but I don't think it was a full Bestigor build against the Beastmen, and managed to come out on top on that as well. And he had gyrocopters too. So anyways, love to hear from you in the comments what you thought of the build, what you thought of the game, and what you think of this Beastmen matchup. I know I only have Dowie wins on here recently, but I really still think this is a pretty tough matchup for the Dowie if the Beastmen bring the right build. But if they don't, I mean, obviously Gores are not going to do anything. Just these basic Gores here, they just can't cut the mustard. They're 600 gold, and they're not going to get the job done against the Dowie, that's for sure. They got some kills because they're 600 gold and they can do some damage, but they're not armor piercing, and they're really more of a chaff clearing unit. So I don't know. Anyways, would love to hear from you. With that said, I hope you found it interesting, and I will see you soon.